Hello and welcome to the first devlog in my journey on releasing my first commercial Steam game. The game that I've chosen to be my first commercial Steam game is a bullet hell game that I released around a year ago. Originally I was going to port it to mobile, but as I was working on it, ideas kept coming in, kept growing, so I've decided to make it a Steam release. The gameplay of this game is pretty simple. You fight through waves of enemies and then you fight through the boss at the end of the stage, and then you progress to the next boss, which is quite self-explanatory. This video is pretty much going to be me talking about the process to get to where I am at this point in development and talk about like my reasoning behind adding certain features and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first backup I have of this game is just basic movement to test the movement on mobile, but it didn't work on PC too well, so that made testing it a pain in the ass. I also created two enemies, one that fires bullets straight down and the other one moves to the center of the screen and then explodes into a ring of bullets. Also in this version there's a basic wave system which works by, when there's no enemies on screen, increase a variable by 1 and then load the layout of enemies corresponding to that variable. Imported a sprite of the first boss from the original bullet hell I made last year with some basic movement. Speaking of that game, it's going to be on sale in the description for the next month if you want to try it out, like kind of get an idea of what this new game is going to be like. I have changed up quite a lot in it, like for example there's a wave system. I'm also going to put more consideration into the bosses, gimmicks and main attacks, which you'll see throughout the devlog, so if you want to check that out, make sure you subscribe and try out my game down below. There's also a free demo. Also in this build there is no win or lose state, which is, yeah, it was just mainly me testing things out, seeing how it feels on mobile. The second backup I have, build 2, the main thing that I added was score and life. So that means there's finally a lose state, so when the player runs out of lives it just resets the scene. So no like proper game over screen yet. Also when the player is hit by a bullet, they do a little flashing animation, which I do change in the most recent build. There is now a little screen shake and on top of the flashing animation. The score increases when an enemy is damaged or killed. Damage like only giving you not as much score, but killing the enemy gives you way more score. I also added a simple sweeping attack for the skull boss, which wasn't too hard to develop. I just have it on certain animation frames fire that attack. Onto build 3 now. Not much really was added in this one, besides from a placeholder title screen. I also changed the lives text into a sprite, which I think looks way better. I also added the first power up, which is just a 1-up power up, which increases your lives by 1. You can only have a maximum of 5 lives, just so people can't just camp and stock up on a bunch of lives. Onto build 4 now. The main thing in this build is adding 4 more power-ups. The first one is a shield that gives the player an extra hit. The second one is more unique. This was in the original bullet hell. It's called time stop and it freezes time for a few seconds and causes an explosion that destroys all bullets and enemies on screen. If the boss is on screen, then it decreases some of its life. The next power up, quite simple, it increases the amount of damage you do, also changes the bullet color so you know that it does more damage. Fourth and final one is the bullet spread, where it fires bullets in 3 directions facing forward. I also added a score effect when an enemy is defeated, which is just simple text that flies up with the number of score you got from it. I also gave the boss another attack, which is just an upside down cross that falls slowly down the screen and fires bullets slowly in like random directions. Build 5 I added a real game over screen and game over animation where it just pauses everything, the player does a little shake and then explodes into a bunch of bullets. I also fixed the stupid blurred font. This was more of a problem with the game engine than a problem on my part. but there is a way around it. It just takes longer. Also, from last build, I added the same effect that it does when you defeat an enemy with the scroll. Now it shows which power-up has been collected. I also added a simple transition into the boss instead of it just appearing. I also added a boss defeat animation, which is similar to the game over screen. It just shakes and explodes into a bunch of bullets. I do remember whilst developing this one, sometimes the bullets just won't appear. I fixed that. In later builds, I don't think I noted it though, so I thought I'd just say it here. The final build I have backed up didn't include a lot. This was whilst I was still like on the edge of like, do I just make it a PC game? Do I just make it a mobile game? So I added a little setup at the start, so you could choose the distance of the player from like the touch on your phone. So the red dot will represent where your finger is, and then your little player sprite is how far away it would be from it. I also added opacity to the boss when enemies are like colliding with it to make the game more readable. The final thing I did for this build was update the shield sprite because the old one just kind of looked ugly. That brings us to the current build today. Pretty much the only thing that really got added was a startup screen, and I also did some general fixes and balancing. That's it for the progress so far in the game. What I've been doing mainly right now is game design document, figuring out all that other stuff, how I'm going to market this game, how it's going to look, how it's going to sound and stuff like that. So that's taken up like a good 2 weeks of my life, and that's still ongoing. I'm ready to start developing again, so here we are with devlogs. So if you're excited about that, I would appreciate it if you subscribed and also checked out the original version of Bullet Hell in the description. Like I said, 50% off sale. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.